Welcome, everybody, once again to HR Tech Talks. I'm George Rogers, your host, and I'm so glad that you're joining us today. I'm excited today because once again, we have a very special guest with us. And the previous conversations that we've had, both in email and prior to this recording, has been great. And I believe that you're going to get a lot of value out of that. Before we get into our conversation with our guest today, I do want to make everyone aware that we are excited and have been excited for all those who have already signed up and registered for this year's HR Tech Awards. We'll be announcing those winners here in the upcoming months, but right now the registration is open. You can go to hrtechawards.org to fill that information out. And we'll put that in the chat as well for those that are looking. We're excited about that. Our Lighthouse team, myself and Ben Eubanks and the rest of our team are excited and thrilled to be able to reveal those award winners here in the next month or two. And so you'll get more information about that. But without further ado, I don't want to take too much time. I want to get in this conversation because I believe for all of you out there, especially the frontline workers, you're going to find some value in the conversation we have today with our special guest. So without further ado, Jim, welcome today. Thank you so much, sir, for joining us, being a part of HR Tech Talks with us today. Can you tell us a little bit, for those who are joining with us, tell us a little bit about yourself, who you are, your company, what you're doing, and let's dive into this conversation.
I love it. Well, first of all, I want to say thank you to both you and Ben. I got to meet Ben for the first time in Las Vegas at HR Tech in October, and great conversation right off the bat. So awesome to be here. Thank you for the opportunity to enlighten the audience.
Oh, so, my pleasure.
Yeah, my name is Jim Schimpf. I am the CEO and founder of Chattr. We are a frontline hiring automation system. And my story is really quite simple. I spent my early 20s as a frontline recruiter at the largest staffing company in the world. And when I turned 30, I vowed that I was going to be an entrepreneur for the rest of my life. And the number one mission for any entrepreneur is go out and find big problems and build solutions to solve those big problems. And so through a series of businesses in the health club space and in the retail space, we landed on a Chattr, which is a massive problem around frontline hiring. So we're out on a crazy mission to make hiring the easiest part of the day.
Awesome. Let's dive into that, because some of the solutions you find in a big problem, especially within the front line, in the recruiting stage of things. What kind of problems exactly does Chattr resolve and solve for your clients and potential clients in the future?
Well, I think it's kind of our founder story. Every founder has a crazy story that they started the company with. And in 2018, I had a Tesla, and we called it the One Charge Trips. We charged up the Tesla, and we went around to retail stores, fast food restaurants, and literally sat in the store and sat in the restaurant and watched the manager, interviewed the manager, and said, "Hey, what's your hiring practices like today?" And what we found was shocking. It was literally a 13 to 15 step process that we found on average, from literally sourcing those applicants all the way through the first day of work and all of the steps in between. And then we were invited back into the back rooms. And if you can imagine, think about this. Imagine being in a retail store in the back closet where the 2012 computer is back there, or in a fast food restaurant where it's the time charts up on the wall and the grease pencil, and then you got this computer and they're doing all the recruiting. But we watched them literally boot up. It took 15 minutes to boot up an Oracle system, and an Oracle system. I mean, we're talking about a frontline manager. We're talking about a fast food manager who's juggling a gazillion things at one time, having to go back and boot up an enterprise system to hire a frontline worker. And so we knew after going through that whole process that we had to create something that was easier, that was faster, and was literally designed for frontline life. So that was the inspiration.
That's awesome. to hear. One of the things that we talk about, especially in the hiring process, everybody is wanting and has a desire, especially for me. And several years ago, I had 18 retail stores, and so understanding the process of hiring, and we're talking from multiple states, right? And so each state is different, the demographics are different, and just we as human, we're all different. And so having a simple process was so important for us. Having something like Chattr back then would have been valuable to me because I'm a person that loves simplicity, and being able to use something that is not just powerful but also simplifies the process, to be able to maximize your time, to be able to find clarity in the type of people that you're looking for that align, not just with the position, but also the company. We talk about values and culture and all these things a lot in our industry and in the HR space. And one of the things that I really love that Chattr brings along is that simplicity, right? That you have for those in the front line that's filling and hiring these candidates. Can you talk a little bit about the simplicity and the value that Chattr brings to your clients, and the impact that it does make for those on the front line?
Absolutely, and I couldn't agree with you. I sympathize with 15 retail stores across states. I can only imagine what that hiring experience was like. We wave a flag, make hiring the easiest part of the day, and so what does that really mean? We had envisioned a life where the frontline manager is on the go. They're juggling multiple things, like I'd said earlier. So we wanted to design a system where they spend less time in a system. And as we were analyzing the market, building Chattr, we realized that what was happening is the current systems, whether it's an ATS or a payroll system or these current systems or a spreadsheet, worst case scenario, these current systems just didn't give them the simplicity that they were looking for. So we set a goal. We said, how do we create a system that gets them using the system for less than 10 minutes a day? And if we could automate and use AI and a combination of automated business processes to get a system where they can be in there less than 10 minutes a day, that would literally redefine the way people hire on the front line. And so that was the big mission. And when Chattr is deployed into any size organization, it could be a 5-location franchisee, all the way up to every Waffle House in America hires through Chattr. And so whether it's a large enterprise or a small emerging brand, when we deploy Chattr, which takes literally less than 3 minutes to deploy the system, and they're experiencing new applicants and new automated interviews booked and literally new hires within 24 hours of implementing the system. So, and they're doing this not less than 10 minutes a day, but 6 minutes a day. So we hit our goal of simplicity and ease so that the frontline manager can get back to the work that matters the most. We wanted to remove the minutia within that hiring process, the lower value, the repetitive tasks. And we wanted to create room for the one thing that matters. And that's a human connection. Remove the minutia, make room for the meaningful. So when that manager shows up for that interview, they can have a very strong connection, be a great brand ambassador, and have a freshness about that interview to welcome that new applicant into the potential company.
One of the things that really stood out to me, when we were talking about some of the, even as you're talking about that, one of the key business outcomes that you shared with me was that frontline managers spend less than, when I talk about the greatest value, from a high level, a lot of CFO, CEOs, the first thing that pops in their mind whenever money's being spent towards any software is, what's the ROI? How does it save us time, save us money? How do we measure this? And, for me, when I think about my greatest resources, time is always number one. Money, I'll lose, I can gain it back again. As an entrepreneur, we will figure out how can we make more money. Those are things that we can adapt to. One thing we cannot get back is our time. And one of the values that I love that you shared with me, Jim, was that frontline managers spend less than 6 minutes a day in the platform hiring process due to the conversations that your platform provides to them. Can you talk about, when somebody says, all right, what's the ROI? One of those things is time. I see that, but what else does Chattr provide on that back end when it comes to the outcomes that you love so much? And I know there's several of them, but what are some of those other outcomes that really impacts the day-to-day efficiencies for those on the front line?
I think if we can look at it from two lenses, let's look at it from both the applicant lens and the manager lens. From an applicant perspective, prior to a platform like Chattr, the only option that applicants had were form-based applications, and we've all seen them in the industry. And what was happening is these applicants, think about this. I use Susie all the time. Susie gets off work at choose your fast food restaurant brand. Gets off work at 11:27 at night, and Susie might be a little upset at her manager, or she's not experiencing the experience she was expecting at the brand. So she, at 11:27 at night, she gets home, she gets on one of the job boards, and she finds a job ad that looks compelling and attractive. And when Susie clicks to apply, what Susie's accustomed to is that form-based application. And that application could take 10 minutes, it could take 20 minutes. And God forbid if the form-based application starts with a username and password. We call that more hops, more drops. So if Susie clicks on a job ad and comes to a job page that has create an account, Susie's already on to the next opportunity because she's looking for the 12 or 13 opportunities right in a row at the 1 30-minute time frame that she's sitting down to do this. So that right there creates the barrier and an inefficient and really a bad applicant experience. And statistically, the chances of Susie completing that application are very low. She's already on to the next one. But if she does take the time to complete that application, she clicks the submit button. And what she experiences is what a lot of brands are providing today. And that's literally a general manager at a restaurant or a general manager at a retail store waiting 2, 3, 4 days to get back in touch with Susie. Well, Susie's already on. She already got 2 other interviews at 2 other opportunities that she applied to. So now that brand has missed out on Susie. So with Chattr, Susie has a different experience. At 11:27 at night, she clicks on the application process and the digital AI assistant pops up and starts to engage Susie at her highest point of interest. And we bring Susie through literally less than a 3-minute conversational AI experience. So it's interactive, and the key to commitment in life is engagement. So let's get Susie engaged. Let's get Susie excited about the brand. It's a different experience. But the outcome that she gets is she gets an interview booked in less than 4 minutes, and she knows the next step, most importantly. She doesn't have that submit button and then waits for the next step. So within 3 minutes, she's got an interview. It literally could be the next day, and she could be hired at the next opportunity within 24 hours. We actually call it the 24-hour revolution within Chattr. So we love that we're bringing a new type of applicant experience to the table, which really mimics what we're calling the consumerization of HR. There's no reason why that demographic shouldn't experience a application just like as if they were a client or a customer. So we as businesses, we spend all this time on marketing and incentive programs and referral programs to try to drive consumers back into stores and back into restaurants with rewards programs and apps. And why can't we mimic that same experience in the HR world?
Yeah.
We should, because they expect it.
Yep. One of the things, and to kind of add on to that, we did a recent talent acquisitions trend study that we released, one of the things that we saw was that speed was the essence, that people wanted to have a more efficient process in the interview process. One of the stats that really stands out to me that I have on the top of my mind is that 2 out of 3 reasons candidates ghost employers came down to speed and hiring workflows. How the process moved, how long am I waiting, how many times do I have to meet with different people or the same person before I get to the next process. And what you're saying with AI, with Chattr, is that efficiency really speeds up the process too. There's not a lot of dead space, because right now employees are looking and saying, listen, if it's a good fit, the interview went great, but what I don't want is something that's going to be 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks down the line during this process. It's kind of that fast pace. People are looking for jobs. There's so many opportunities right now. So if you find somebody, companies that are still going through this, 6 process step are losing a lot of good candidates that they want to hire, but they can't hire because another company with a simplified process using Chattr, for an example, that's helping them stay engaged and connected with employees, even through the onboarding process, right? Even doing to that state where they can re-engage as well. For those people that they might have missed. There's a lot of things that Chattr does. I want to kind of speak on that a little bit, but also you have a case study or something that you can relate to the audience when it comes to those scenarios that you can share with us today to kind of really put into the highlight what a client is really experiencing with your software.
Yeah, I'll give you one from when we first started, and then one very recent case study. When we first started the company, we were blessed. Our first customer right out of the gate was a 700 location off-price retailer, and
yeah, it
was a good start. We got lucky, but we were prepared. And statistically, it took them it took their general managers at the stores an average of 4 days to get in touch for the first time with a new application. And when they looked at the overall life cycle of the entire hiring process, they averaged it out to be about 30 to 34 days from first impression, literally to the first day of work. And so when we implemented Chattr, that 4 days to get in touch with that applicant to the first time was literally down to 1 day. And they were able to hire people within those 4 to 5 days. So literally first contact prior to Chattr was 4 days. Now they're hiring people in 4 to 5 days. So that was the first. And so right out of the gate, we knew we had something pretty special. We were making big impact at scale. And then most recently, as I said earlier, every Waffle House in America hires through Chattr. I'm really proud to say that. It's a great, iconic American brand that pretty much all of your listeners have probably been to at one point in time. But most recently, since deploying over 1,815 locations, 3,000 users, we not only deployed that entire product in less than 3 hours, but the results over the first 6 months, 89% of applicants who completed the application, which is 83% of the time. 83% of the time, the applicant completes the Chattr application. 89% of those applicants that complete it actually start training their first day. That's a 45% increase since COVID.
Yeah. Wow. That's really impressive. You're talking about the process that, for that process of really getting somebody in within the 4 days. Another one of the stats that kind of aligns with what that trend is 84% of the candidates that we over 1,000 people in this trend talent acquisition trend study, 84% of the candidates said that anything more than 2 interviews or phone screens is overkill. Like, we just want to get through the process. And so that really aligns with what you're doing, where you're able to go through the process, they go through the application, they align, and 4 days later, they're starting that process. That's really impressive work.
I think it makes a big difference in how that frontline manager shows up. I mean, they are the ambassador to the brand, and you probably know this, and your audience definitely does. Is a great applicant experience translates to higher retention. And when you have that strong first impression, you're making a massive impact from a retention perspective. You move the needle on retention 4, 5, 6% in these types of industries, and the ROI on that is significant. So we wanted to make sure that we built a system where literally our managers that run stores, that run restaurants, that run warehouses, they wake up in the morning, they look on their phone, they see a list of pre-screened, pre-qualified, pre-scheduled applicants already set up. They come into work, they go about their day, and at a specific time, a notification pops up. Susie's on her way. She's going to be here in 10 minutes. All I have to do as a frontline manager is show up as my best self with Susie, make a decision, and I'm pushing a green thumbs up or a red thumbs down. Yeah. And throughout that entire process, that's the only engagement that frontline manager has with Chattr. The rest of the hiring experience, from literally sourcing that applicant, first impression, first hello, to the first day of work, is completely automated, except for that one thing that matters, and that's the interview, and the decision.
That's awesome. When it comes to training, I'm thinking of the first client, 700 plus, thinking of Waffle House. I'm a Waffle House guy. Give me the all-star platter.
Smothered and covered, man.
Smothered, covered, over easy. Give me extra bacon. That's what I love. So shout out to Waffle House and your client there. When it comes to the training, what's the training process like? One of the things that stands out to me, especially for interviewers, training, is believed to be powerful, yet it's really underutilized for a lot of companies. Companies and 35% of employers either provide no interview training or just a token amount. What's the process like that makes, again, going back to what we said in the beginning, simplicity? What is the training process like and the time that it takes? You talked about the efficiency and the quickness that you're able to onboard Waffle House. What does that look like for them, for those who are doing an interview process at that stage?
I'm going to take it from a little bit of a different lens, potentially. A lot of companies sell to the front line, and Chattr was born in the front line, and the commitment that we've made to the front line is unmatched from literally how the platform is deployed. We can deploy a 10 location brand in less than 30 minutes, and they're going to see value in hours. And the value they're going to receive is the automated process into interviews showing up, and they're making hiring decisions within 24 hours. So we can do that at an emerging brand, a small company level, all the way up to the enterprise. So, and then when they're in the system, deployment is easy, but when they're in the system, the user interface, we designed it like a consumer app. And for everybody listening, if you've ever gone to the App Store and you've downloaded a new app, if you can't get that app up and running in 3-4 clicks and see value out of that app, it goes to the app graveyard, which is you swipe over four swipes over on your iPhone, and it sits there, and it's never to be used again. So we were very intentional around a user interface that was built for the front line, to the point where we say that we didn't build it. Chattr didn't build Chattr. The frontline managers and the frontline users built Chattr. So being able to train them to adopt the platform has been probably the most simple experience I've ever been a part of. And this is my third company.
That's awesome. What advice, as we wrap up, what advice would you give employers to help them improve their hiring and retention efforts? Because I feel like having something that simplifies your process, where you're hiring not just good people, but the right people. And you got to simplify process. What advice would you give employers to improve their hiring and retention efforts?
Well, I think for two things. Obviously, I'm going to say implement automated technology. I'm a little biased, obviously, but by implementing automation around low value tasks, you create room and you create space for people to invest in relationships, invest in leadership. The biggest challenge we hear from our customers is they spend so much time on the little things that it steals time away from the things that matter the most. And that is spending time with staff. That's spending time better understanding what the staff's what matters to them, training them. So my advice is implement automation to create that room, to create that space. And then once that space is created, invest in the managers. Invest in the managers because they are creating the ambassadors to your brand as guests walk into those stores, into those restaurants, into those facilities. So invest in redirect and reinvest that newly freed up time into the people that matter the most.
Yeah, I think one of the other things that you shared is the ROI. When we talk about the return on investments, that businesses can expect between an 8 to 10 return on their investments when using Chattr specifically. So that's incredible. As we're wrapping up here, Jim, is there anything else on your heart that you'd like to share? And then also share how people can connect with you and learn more about you and Chattr?
Yeah, I mean, what's near and dear to my heart right now as we go into 2024, the big push for us, historically, the applicant focus has been a primary focus of Chattr for the last 3 years. I mean, it's been a tough hourly and frontline worker market since coming out of COVID. But now that things have somewhat stabilized from a worker perspective, we're turning our attentions to create an even more efficient. We call it almost an auto magical frontline manager experience within Chattr. So we're really excited about that. We're passionate about this group. It's an underserved group. It's a massive market in the United States workforce, and we can't wait to see what the future holds for this as we start to go further down into this path. So you can get a hold of me, Jim at Chattr, Chattr.ai. Again, Jim at Chattr, Chattr.ai. We had to have a cool tech name and get rid of the E, right? But you can also find me on LinkedIn. And I'm looking forward to connect with anybody. I can talk about this all day. So if you need any advice, guidance, I can learn from you. I'm excited to hear from you.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Jim, for being here with us today and sharing all things Chattr. I appreciate this Chattr that we have, and I look forward to one day meeting you in person here pretty soon and chatting together as well. On that. For everybody that's watching, we'll throw in all the information. We'll have Jim's LinkedIn in the chat here, Chattr here pretty soon, and as well as the website where you can go visit their website to learn more. Again, it's Chattr, Chattr.ai is their website. So, Jim, thank you so much, sir. I appreciate you for joining us here today on HR Tech Talks.
I appreciate you too, George. Make it a great week.
Will do. Awesome. So great having Jim with us today. Really appreciate his time. And I'm really encouraged for those, especially for you that are on the front line, what Chattr is doing, their AI, how it aligns with the process. And he shared a lot of information, valuable information, and especially with the case studies on how you can become more efficient, the simplicity of the process. Think about all the Waffle Houses around the world being able to jump on board and be able to do that through simplicity. And so I want to encourage you to do that as well. For those who are joining us today, and this is some more information, I'll share this infographic link with you as well in the chat. But this is just some of the recent research that we had with our talent acquisition trends. So some of the data that I share with you today comes from Lighthouse Research and Advisory in our latest study on talent acquisitions with some of those trends. One of the things that I discussed was the power of training and the importance of that, because what we've seen is that companies that do not provide interview training have a 40% increase in the number of hiring managers that make poor hiring decisions. When we talk about being efficient, when we talk about the ROI of a product like Chattr and a software like Chattr that can bring value to you, make sure that you're hiring the right people, good people that align with your company, and the importance of those things. So I want to encourage you not just to just try to plug and play, but also train your people on what to look for, what you're looking for in the interview process. It goes a long way for you to be able to stay engaged with potential candidates that are looking for a company maybe like yours to join with you as well. Again, I want to encourage you to sign up. If you want to know more about HR Tech Talks, what's coming out, when the next episode is coming, you can visit hrtechtalks.org. You'll get notified of all our new episodes like this one that's coming soon. We got some more exciting ones coming up with our HR award winners from 2023 that's going to be joining us here over the next couple episodes. And so I'm looking forward to that. Once again, I want to thank you for joining us here today on HR Tech Talks. If you or your company is eligible for HR Tech Awards, make sure you visit hrtechawards.org as well. We'll be taking those applications here over the next couple of weeks before releasing the announcement here in the next month or two. And so we're looking forward to that. More information. Make sure you follow myself, George Rogers, on LinkedIn. Also, my good friend and brother of another mother, Ben Eubanks, for more information, as well as follow Lighthouse Research and Advisory. You can find all of those in the chat as well or on this page. Thank you so much for joining us today here on HR Tech Talks Awards. Looking forward until next time, everybody. Be blessed.